welcome back, Community Storytelling Season 5. I'm Lissa Kreisler. I love having you with us when we share these stories. And everybody has a story. That's why it's called Community Storytelling. And we have another great one for you today. Avis Lagrone, member of the Los Gatos Afternoon Rotary.
Right.
But your role in Rotary has become so much larger than just something with Los Gatos Rotary. What's the district called?
District 5170.
So District 5170 represents Bay Area. Is it Northern California Rotaries?
It goes all the way up to the Concord, Livermore, Walnut Creek area, then over into and all the way down to Los Banos.
All right.
So it's a large district.
It's large, and it's all the Rotaries get together, and you have certain projects, and this one is called RVP, Rotary Vietnam Project.
Right.
And believe it or not, it started with a ball. This is not a Tom Hanks movie that you're about to watch, but it did start with a blue soccer ball, one of 2,400.
Right.
So tell us, you went to Vietnam with soccer balls.
Yes, well, it started out with my best girlfriend, who's also Rotarian, called me one day and she said, Avis, I've got 2,400 soccer balls that we need to distribute in Vietnam. And she said, I think this would be a great Interact project. So Interactors are the high school level of Rotarians.
Very cool.
And so we got to talking about, well, how are we going to do this? Because they were given to us and we needed to start in Hanoi and go all the way down to Saigon. And it's like, okay. So we talked to Nick Leon, who works with the Interactors and is a former Nick, and so he, being a school teacher and everything, was very involved with the kids. So we got a hold of the Interact Club and started asking some students whether they would like to participate in this. And yes,
I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
I go to Vietnam, yes, to hand out soccer balls. And the idea of the soccer balls, you were bringing them over for the kids to play with.
Right, because we just feel that play unites people, and especially young children who live in a very depressed area and in an area where they're being victimized. And so we thought, well, let's go to the orphanages and the schools in the very poor areas, and that's what we did.
So you dropped off these soccer balls, but then you came back with another story.
Oh, yeah.
Another mission.
Yeah.
How did this lead? We're talking now, we're getting to human trafficking, which is a problem here in America, of course, too, but I don't think the numbers are anything close to what they are in Vietnam, in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
So how did you find out, just dropping off these soccer balls for play, that we had human trafficking at such a degree there?
Well, we have 7,000 Interactors in our district. We have more Interactors than we have Rotarians. And what happened was, that year they have what's called FLC, Fall Interact Conference, and they all meet at Independence High School, and they pick this district of Interactors. They pick an international project and they pick a community project. So this year that they had picked human trafficking for their international project. And so the students that were involved with us are also part of the district, and they said, we had heard how bad human trafficking is in Vietnam. We need to kind of correlate the soccer balls, using that to raise funds to promote some kind of education. And we met with Pacific Links, and Pacific Links is in Milpitas. And Dep, who started that, is a highly educated woman from Vietnam, along with a couple of other women, started the Pacific Links, and we kind of met up with them and said, the students really want to become involved in this. So we go back a second year and we find out there's a class that's running for students in one of the universities, and it's also being held in Vietnamese and English. So we told the kids, okay, we're going to enroll you in this 3-day class while we're there. And so they went, and boy, were they bit it like crazy. They just were so enthusiastic, and they said, yes, this is what we're going to do. We want to make sure that we contribute, and now we know how bad it is here, and there's a way that we can help this.
So how bad is it in Vietnam? Tell us the story of human trafficking.
Human trafficking, in computer age now, it's gotten even worse, because if you stop and think about it, you can sell a girl 15 times a night. You can only sell a drug once. And also, if you remember, in China, they did away with all the girls' babies, and now there's a lot of young men that have no wives because they annihilated them. And so there's a lot of parents out there that would like to be grandparents and they want a child. So the Johns have become quite aware of how to, do this and do it so that they make money off of it. And so they go to the outlying areas near Cambodia, Laos, China. These villages sit on the border. They're very poor villages, and they go to the people in the village, and they go to the families, and they say, we have a place for your daughter. She's going to get married, and she's going to have a family. And they give them this whole spiel, and we're going to give you X amount of dollars. Well, these families are so poor, they don't really think of it as selling off their daughter. They think that their daughter is going to be well taken care of because this is the story they've just been fed. And what happens is these girls are sold off to a family. They produce a child, and then they're ripped away from that child and that family and sold to another family. And it goes on and on. And we've been able to rescue, Pacific Links has, rescue some of these young girls. And they're soiled doves, and so now they cannot go back to their villages. So they're put into a home, generally around 6 or 7 girls in a home with one parent, an adult woman, who works with them. And you have to stop and think of the trauma that these young girls have gone through. And so what they do is they educate them in trades that they'll be able to, support themselves at some point in time, whether it's being nails or, working in a hotel. But they give them skills so that these girls will eventually, if they're not totally, put out, that they can support themselves. It's frightening.
And how
did the ball?
Tell me how this ball is still staying part of the story.
Well, what we did is, because we were given these balls, there's warehouse, we can still buy balls here. And we're not doing so much of the balls right now, but what we do is we raise money by taking a shipment of 10 balls in a case, and we go to Rotary International, and we take the kids with us to Rotary International, and they present their project. And what we tell the people there, these are Rotarians from all over the world, but mainly the people in the United States are going to travel to a project, maybe in Guatemala or maybe in in India or wherever. So we sell them a case of these 10 balls, and they take these balls and they distribute them to an orphanage or a school in the country that they're going to go to, and they may be working on a water project, or maybe they're going to be doing wheelchairs, or maybe they're going to, polio inoculations, but something like that. So they're taking a case of balls and distributing them too. So that's how we did that, because the balls, we sold them to them to take elsewhere. So that's how the balls kind of have held us together. So right now we just basically raise money, and we raise our money for scholarships, and we work with Pacific Links, and the money goes towards keeping the girls in school, because we have found that the better educated these girls are, the better chance they have in life. So we teach them, when we take the students with us during summer, we take them to a summer camp that's held at a college. There's generally about 700 girls there, and some boys too. I mean, we have to realize that human trafficking is not only girls, it's also boys. And it's a smaller amount, but there are boys that end up in this situation too. And it's sad, but it does happen.
Is there any thought of somehow doing this in America?
I wish. There was a program. I spoke with a woman several years back. She was an attorney in Oakland. She later became a judge, I understand. Her first name was Jennifer, and I can't remember her last name. She started a program called HEAT in Oakland, and it was very successful. And I came back and talked to a few people in San Jose in the city, thinking that maybe they could start this program here, but they haven't. There are programs here. I don't think they're that well known, but there are some. But I think as Americans, and I don't think we really realize what goes on in front of our face, because we don't pay attention.
And we don't want to know.
Very much so.
We do not want to know.
No. In fact, at one of our internationals, we have speakers there that also do human trafficking, and one of the speakers there was visiting a city and talking about this, and the citizens said, "Oh no, we don't have that problem here.
Of course
no
not.
way." Well, pretty soon her phone's ringing.
Yeah.
And she picks up the phone and she's talking and everything, and yeah, I can meet you. And she puts the phone down. She says, "Tell me you don't have that problem here?" She said, "That John just called me and made arrangements with me at one of your local hotels. You do have a problem here." And it's everywhere. I don't think it's to the extent here that we open our eyes, but you stop and look around, and if you watch people, and if you see a young lady with her head down, somebody's grasping her arm tightly, she's looking down, she's looking away, and she's kind of being escorted. You can almost say she's being trafficked. It's a hard thing to see and look at, but if you've been around it, you learn the cues, you pick up on it. But I think we're just immune to what goes on in society.
Well, maybe this is coming. Maybe this is coming. And I've got to say, the Rotary has nearly eradicated polio.
Yep.
So I have faith that you can nearly eradicate human trafficking.
Well, we're sure working on it.
And now, what can we do for you?
Well, I think the best thing to do is that our young students that are involved in this Rotary Vietnam Project to put out a really nice little video that you can just go to Google Rotary Vietnam Project and it will come up.
I did it.
You get it?
I did it, yes.
And you'll get like a 7-minute video that the girls speak about what they have gone through and what they've seen and how to contribute. And really, all the contributions are tax deductible, and they go towards scholarships through Pacific Links, and this keeps the girls in school. And keeping a girl in school and getting her educated is just the best, the best source of helping to eradicate this, because once they're educated and they get to go back to their village, they know where they got this scholarship. And during the summer when we're in camp, we teach them. It's not really their culture to talk about this. It's not their culture to educate their girls in any type of sex.
Sure.
It's not. And so we talk to these girls. I mean, and we do, health, and we talk about sex, and we have, these girls are sitting on a floor, and we may have 10 or 12 girls sitting in front of us, and so Sue and I will toss out a cucumber and
okay, I know where this is headed. Okay.
And you should have seen those girls' faces and how they just, oh no, we're not doing this. But it's the best education.
Yeah.
Because it's something they don't know anything about.
Right.
So, it just all of a sudden, we've had girls come back and say, "I'm so glad, because nobody in my family would have ever told me." Oftentimes they think they're bleeding to death. No education at all. And that's frightening to a young girl. And so, we have to stop and think. We're all human. We're all going to go through the same thing. But it's best to be prepared. Really, it is.
You're quite the hero. And you're a very strong woman. And thank you, Avis, for doing this. And it all started with this ball right here. Tom Hanks, you have nothing on us. We got our own story to share. You are a delight. Keep it up. I hope you can get some help from us here in Los Gatos. And thank you to the Rotary for doing this. Just another adventure that you're taking on, another problem you're taking on. And by golly, the Rotary's the one to solve it.
Well, that's,
And you're leading the way, Avis Lagrone.
Well, our motto is service above self. And I think we all have to stop and look at ourselves and what we can contribute to society to give back. And this is one of the ways to give back.
Thank you.
So you can always go back to that, that lovely Google now that we have.
Yes.
And Google RVP, Rotary Vietnam Project, and donate.
Yes, thank you so much. Rotary Vietnam Project. You heard about it here, and I'm so glad that you did. Avis, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For sharing your story.
Thank you.
Community storytelling, that's what it's all about. And if you have someone who has a great story to share about doing something so great in the community, please let us know. Go to kcat.org, go to community storytelling, make a nomination, and I'll get to sit next to you next time. Thank you for being with us. Season 5, Community Storytelling. Linda Lester, always love and kisses to you for supporting us. I'm Lissa Kreisler.